Alright, we've done this little song and dance a few times now, so let's just get this overview done with so we can get to the real meat of the video. Over the course of 2023, I managed to earn myself 30 total platinum trophies, and I'm going to be ranking them based on how hard or easy they were to unlock. Like Sony's trophy system, each of these games will be awarded a tier of bronze, silver, gold, or platinum, and these rankings are not based on how much I enjoyed playing the games in question, but rather how easy or difficult, and how fun or boring I found the platinum unlocking process to be. Bronze are usually awarded to hastily made games that don't offer much value outside of the trophies themselves. Silver is awarded to games that are difficult to unlock the platinum, but have more quality or fun to them than bronze tier games. Gold rank games are those that are fun to unlock everything, but one or two story, gameplay, or even trophy related problems drag them down a bit. And platinum tier ranked games are just fun to play and fun to complete. So now that we got that all out of the way, we'll get right on with the show. Starting with the bronze tier, let's rank my platinums from 2023. I had little to no expectations for Next Gen Simulator, hearing that it was just a basic experience of spawning things and messing around with them. The trophies at least ask you to do a few unique tasks, like breaking a brick wall with a wrecking ball or finding random things in some levels, but overall it's an experience that can be done in easily less than half an hour without a guide, leaving not much else to offer beyond the platinum itself. It's exactly as I thought it might be given its cheap price point. It certainly won't be giving Garry's Mod a run for its money anytime soon, and as such is worthy of being the only bronze tier ranked game on my list this year. I'll admit that I was conflicted about where to rank Bluey the video game. On the one hand, it's an overly simple children's game that can easily be completed to 100% completion in 2 to 3 hours. On the other hand, it takes more effort than something like the Peppa Pig game did to actually get everything, even if that effort is put more towards watering plants and keeping balloons in the air instead of simply walking left and right 10 times. I mean, it's just kind of a fine game, decent enough for fans of Bluey, but does it deserve more than a bronze tier ranking? I honestly think it might. So I'm gonna at least give it a silver tier ranking because it does a little bit more than just your average bronze tier ranked game, and we'll get on with the rest of the video. Hooray! A throwback 3D platformer with lots of charm to offer, Clive and Wrench has a fun premise, but an unfortunately unpolished execution. Each level takes place in a different time period, with our main duo adorning an era-appropriate hat in each one, and all you need to do in each level is find the ancient stones, collect stopwatches, and find keys to open a safe to get one of those aforementioned ancient stones. The problem here is that the platforming sections themselves are often punishingly difficult, both in how much time you have to complete them, and in how precise you need to be. And the controls for me were fairly unresponsive or delayed, leading to many frustrating deaths. The trophies aren't too bad all things considered, just asking you to basically get everything or do a few specific tasks, but with how many problems I had just trying to play it, I really can't offer this game anything higher than a silver tier ranking. What is essentially multiplayer Crash Bandicoot, Crash Team Rumble is a fun experience that's hampered by a slow progression system, a range of difficulty for individual challenges for each of the playable launch characters, and the usual trappings of a multiplayer game involving other people being jerks. The actual gameplay is fine overall, with simple enough to understand mechanics and fun designed arenas, but the gameplay itself gets very samey after a while, and with the need to get at least one character to level 15, a task that takes way longer than it should, it kept me playing for far longer than I would have otherwise liked. Overall, not a bad game, but not exactly fun to earn a platinum for, so I'll slap Crash Team Rumble with a silver tier Wumpa Fruit and move on. Frogun is another throwback platformer on this list, this one stylized more after PS1 graphics, as you play as a young girl trying to save her explorer parents utilizing a frog that's also a gun for platforming purposes. As you progress through the various ruins of this weird world, you'll gather various collectibles, fight a variety of monsters, and stick your gun's tongue on so many surfaces that I'm sure someone's into it. The trophies largely revolve around gathering all the collectibles and beating bosses, but 3 trophies in this otherwise phenomenally fun game keep this one knocked down pretty low on this ranking. To earn the platinum, you have to deal with an insanely difficult boss rush mode that at times feels unfair, as well as spend hours grinding for coins just to buy cosmetics and concept art. Overall, it's a very fun game, one that I highly recommend you check out, but not one that I personally recommend going for completion on unless you want to try for it, and as such, I award it a silver tier ranking. I let Gauntlet Slayer Edition slip by the wayside for years until I started working on my rarest trophies video, and once I got back into playing it, I remembered how much fun I originally had playing it with Jimmy. Thankfully, I had my progress saved through PlayStation Plus, so going for the trophies would be as simple as just playing through the game a bunch again, right? Well, no. To earn the platinum for Gauntlet, you need to play as almost every hero a ludicrous amount of time, kill an obscene number of enemies with each of them, and play through an endless mode that absolutely requires at least 2 additional people to get you to level 50, a task that itself requires you to block out at least 2 to 3 hours to complete. Gauntlet Slayer Edition is a lot of fun, but going through all of that is a task that takes far too long to do, and so I will award a silver tier ranking to what is now, as of me recording this video, my rarest platinum trophy. Was it worth it? Who knows? All I know is that I have the crown and nothing can take that away from me. Damn it! Jak X Combat Racing is gritty, dirty, over the top, and camp as all heck, but it's a racing game that I recall having a lot of fun with when I was younger, and much of that enjoyment carried over to now when I was completing it, but only for a little while. Between slippery controls, challenge-specific trophies designed to make me angry, and a crap ton of farming for orbs just to buy a bunch of stuff, this was at times a test of patience as much as it was a fun racing game. Either way, I'll say it's the second easiest of the 4 main Jak and Daxter games to earn a platinum for, so I'm at least willing to give Jak X a silver tier ranking on my list. A fairly basic kart racing game that I got because I was bored and I bought this for some reason. Race with Ryan is a fairly simple platinum overall. Complete various cups on certain difficulties, drift a bunch, and play for a combined 3 hours of race time, and boom, platinum. If anything, I'm surprised this one has as low a completion rate as it does, especially when compared to other baby games. Either way, it's an overly simple kart racing game meant for children, but it does require a bit more effort than something like the Peppa Pig games, so I'll at least give it a silver tier ranking on my list. The original Ratchet & Clank is a bit hard to go back to at times, thanks to its inferior control scheme compared to the rest of the series, but it's still a very fun game to play. However, I never went out of my way to platinum this one. Not really because it's challenging, even though at times it can be, but because I knew there was one specific trophy that would require either quite a bit of waiting or just a lot of grinding to get. Earning the Bolt Collector trophy is one that you either need to play through the game multiple times to earn, or and for that reason alone, I never completed it. Overall, Ratchet & Clank is still a lot of fun. All it cost me to cross it off this list finally was a few rubber bands and to leave my console on overnight, and it's worthy of a silver tier ranking for that fact alone. One of my dreams when I was younger, that I arguably still have to this day, is to own an arcade, filled to the brim with arcade cabinets, pinball machines, modern gaming consoles, and more. But because I'm broke, and arcade machines cost a lot of money, I'll take games like Arcade Paradise to fill that void for me. In Arcade Paradise, you manage an arcade out of the back of a laundromat, slowly expanding and acquiring more cabinets to bring in profits and play. There's arguably some really annoying challenges for this one that primarily involves grinding challenges for hours just to unlock everything. But it's still a fun management sim with plenty of unique playable minigames, and at the very least, I say that's worthy of a gold token ranking on my list. Cyanide and Happiness is a crass, vulgar, obscene, and downright hilarious webcomic and webtoon series that I've enjoyed reading and watching for years, and I was excited to see them branch out into not only card games in the form of Joking Hazard and Trial by Trolley, both of which I would happily recommend checking out, but also their premiere video game developed with the help of Skeleton Crew Studio. Freakocalypse is the first part of a crowdfunded point-and-click adventure game with as much over-the-top humor as you might expect, having you touch, look at, and talk to nearly everything in the environment. Sometimes the puzzles are overly obtuse, essential items occasionally blend into the background, meaning you're clicking on just about everything, and it's very easy to loop through dialogue, which is just more of a minor annoyance, but I'd still say it's an overall fun experience worthy of a gold tier ranking. As a concept, humanity is weird. Both the game and, actual humanity. But I'm not a philosopher, so I'll just talk about the game Humanity, which is a puzzle game all about guiding hordes of featureless people from point A to point B and dealing with whatever bullshit rules the game throws at you. It can genuinely be fun trying to figure out how to guide a never-ending stream of people through treacherous environments, though many of the levels had me pulling out what little hair I have left on my head in frustration just trying to figure out how to start, let alone complete them. All in all, it's a fine puzzle game with a genuine challenge and a unique premise, and is as worthy of a gold tier as the goldies you collect throughout this weird adventure. A reboot of a relatively obscure PS2-era platformer starring KO, a kangaroo who uses punching to solve all his problems, this game is just kinda fun. In this reboot of the franchise, it's basically just KO running around punching things, but with slightly stilted voice acting, repetitive gameplay, and a plethora of collectibles that are either essential for getting more health or just kind of there. It's not a bad game, just largely uninspired, with the trophies mainly just asking you to complete the game and get a bunch of collectibles. Overall, it was fine, but not something I'd like to go out of my way to play again, making for a relatively easy, but still somewhat disappointing gold tier ranked trophy. I've spent a considerable amount of my time playing LEGO games, and one of my personal favorites to date is LEGO Builder's Journey. But that one didn't have a platinum, so I'll talk about LEGO Bricktales, the sort of follow-up to that game that did include a platinum. Bricktales is a game full of creativity and charm, but with a few hitches that keep it from being truly fantastic. The trophies for the most part just have you complete levels and collect everything, and while they're not bad themselves, the movement speed and general slowness of all the actions taken in-game keep this one down for me. It's a fun game, with puzzles that require you to actually think what you're building, and is the very least worthy of a gold brick rank on this list. For the longest time, LEGO Lord of the Rings was probably my second favorite LEGO game behind LEGO Marvel Superheroes, but just barely losing to Marvel because of that game's original story and arguably better open world. LEGO Lord of the Rings was also the second game from Telltale Games to feature voice acting, but instead of hiring voice actors to do impressions like they did with Marvel, the team took audio from the early 2000s Peter Jackson films and spliced it in to fit their needs, offering some fantastic comedic potential with authentic sounding voices, as well as their usual slew of extra characters and voice actors for the open world. As ever, the trophies are standard LEGO game fare of collecting everything in the levels and open world, but with well-designed levels, plenty of classic LEGO humor, and with the open world basically just being a 3D explorable version of the Middle-earth map, it was still a fun time. But the many issues I ran into with the PS3 version, such as game crashes, bugs preventing me from continuing, and more, I can only really give this otherwise wonderful title a gold tier ranking. Power Wash Simulator is one of those games that simulates an otherwise menial and mundane task, but somehow became an obsession for me for far longer than I'm willing to admit. The simple act of using high water pressure to blast away dirt and grime is relaxing and engaging, with plenty of levels worth of content for you to clean your way through. However, whoever made the trophy list decided that there wasn't enough stress involved with just cleaning vehicles, buildings, Cloud's Buster Sword, and ancient monuments, and so the devs implemented both timed and water conservation missions, of which you need to get gold ranks in at least 5 of each to get the platinum. Aside from that one major, easily scrubbed away blemish, however, it's just a surprisingly relaxing game, one that's worthy of a gold tier trophy that I didn't even have to scrub down when earning it. Ratchet & Clank Going Commando and Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal are two of the best games you can play on the original PS2, and being able to replay them in the PS3 Remaster Collection was a blast, even if that collection does have some glaring issues that are more noticeable with these two games when compared to the first. However, in terms of trophy hunting, both games offer largely similar experiences, though there are a few differences between them that are at least worth noting. Going Commando was the first game in the franchise to introduce the arena, leveling up weapons that became more powerful versions later, as well as those spherical planets that feature their own unique challenges. All of these are featured among the trophy list in some way, and earning all of the trophies was mostly a breeze. The only real hiccup was the usual need to grind endlessly for bolts and weapon upgrades, but this game also introduced the bolt multiplier for what was essentially New Game Plus, so, that helps. Then there was Up Your Arsenal, which took more than a few inspiration points from the Halo franchise, like how Jak and Daxter was influenced by GTA. Open battle arenas, a more combat-heavy focus, and a drivable all-terrain vehicle with a turret gun mounted on back, but this one is fired by a monkey instead of your friend who simply acts like one, so it's legally distinct. Couple that with mini arcade games that are based around Captain Quark and basically all the stuff from Going Commando, similar issues and all, and both these games easily land themselves with gold bolt rankings on this list. a side-scrolling adventure title that takes place during one of the arguably most boring volumes of RWBY, I was surprised by how much fun this game actually ended up being. The game has you switch between each of the members of Team RWBY, each of whom have their own special abilities to help do simple problem solving, fight off some actual awesomely designed Grim, and run through a fairly predictable story. As far as trophies are concerned, it's just complete the story, hoard some level up points, do some specific attacks enough times with each member of the team, and then you're done. The only thing I can't really get over, however, is that this green bar here acts as both your ammo and like your character's shield, which, why? Is that trying to imply that the ammo they're firing is from their semblance? Because that's not how gun work. It just makes things infuriating for a game that is otherwise a gold tier experience for trophies. I initially passed over the Sly Cooper games on the PS2, instead sticking with the other major platforming trilogies on the system with Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank. I finally decided to sit down and play through at least the first game via the PS3 collection this year, and now I'm genuinely upset that it took me this long to even start the series. The central focus is sneaking through levels, beating up bad guys, and taking keys is a simple premise, but they throw in enough unique gameplay modes to keep it from being tedious, as well as some fun and rather unique boss fights. I will say that the final level wasn't as fun because it does that early platforming thing where it doesn't use anything you've used prior to that moment in the game, but it's an otherwise fantastic, gold tier worthy game on my list. As a follow-up to the Battle for Bikini Bottom remake, SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake is mostly fine. The various environments from its multiverse storyline are fun, and while I personally miss switching between characters around like in Battle for Bikini Bottom, I'm glad they at least expanded upon SpongeBob's moveset to accommodate this change. As far as trophies are concerned, it's similar to Battle for Bikini Bottom in that you just collect everything, but now there's things like using enemy attacks to kill other enemies, do a bunch of needless tasks over and over, and then complete each boss fight in a unique manner, the most annoying of which was trying to sneak past King Gary without being seen once. In terms of both its overall gameplay and trophies, it is a fine enough game, one that I can't say lives up to Battle for Bikini Bottom in my mind, but is still worthy of a gold tier ranking on this list. I usually enjoy more obscure or off-the-wall puzzle games, and when I first heard about Viewfinder, the concept intrigued me immediately. Being able to take a photo and then have that photo become your way of traversing through levels is a fantastic concept, and the game manages to capitalize on that with unique twists and turns that kept me wanting to find out more. What's better is that many of the trophies themselves weren't just based around completion, but instead had me engaging with levels in new and fun ways, or just messing around for the fun of it. Aside from a few painfully difficult challenges, and the final challenge being just a speed run, which is never fun for something like this one certainly earned a place on the mantle as a gold tier ranked game. There are plenty of board games that have been adapted to video games over the years, and one of my personal favorites is among them. This console version of Settlers of Catan plays well aside from a few weird design choices, like having to wait a full 5 seconds after you roll the dice for anything to actually happen. But it's nice to have an option to play when no one else will play this with me. Even better, the game allows you to earn trophies for playing against AI, and you can even earn trophies if you're the player in number 1 spot and controlling all other 3 players through single controller multiplayer. It was a breeze to earn these trophies without even needing to do any of that, however, and in the end, I walked away with this platinum tier ranked platinum. Rest in peace, Klaus Tuber. Thank you for giving me something to be annoying about. The first title I played for the PSVR 2, developed by the same team behind both Job and Vacation Simulator, Cosmonious High is another sort of sandbox world where you play as an alien capable of adapting under pressure who can then shoot stuff out of their hands. You'll gain the ability to spray water, make trails of crystals, and more, all while forming friendships with various aliens and attending classes that are basically glorified minigames in themselves. The trophies largely revolve around you completing everything you can and just having fun. And as the first real PSVR 2 title I played, it did everything I needed it to introduce me to the headset and its controllers. This one was a lot of fun, and worthy of a platinum tier ranking on my list. Growing up, the first Klonoa game was one that I would rent all the time from Blockbuster, but I just could never beat. So when I heard about this remake collection combining the original PlayStation 1 game and the PS2 sequel, I was excited to jump back into the world of Phantomile and experience Lunaty's Veil for the first time. Even if I own a copy of Lunaty's Veil on PS2 long before I got this and could have happily played it before then, but whatever. Both games play about as well as I remember them, though there are some occasional input lag bits that cost me more than a few lives. The trophies largely revolve around collecting everything and beating each game, a task that itself doesn't take too long for either game, and is just as fun as I would hoped it would be. I had a blast playing through these games, especially experiencing the second one for the first time and being able to relive the first, and I'm more than comfortable awarding this little collection a Platinum tier ranking. An adorable little love letter to childhood in the Legend of Zelda series, Little Gamer Game is all about running around an island playing a life-size version of a video game to try and impress your character's older sister in the hopes of coaxing her into playing with you instead of focusing on stupid homework. You'll run around smashing cardboard monsters, interacting with unique characters, pulling off some sick Naruto runs, and doing everything kids should be doing, which is having fun and making friends. Completing the game is a breeze, taking me a little under 3 hours to complete and was an enjoyably adorable experience overall. Easily one of my favorite games I've played to completion and well worth a Platinum tier ranking. The follow-up to both the PS2 original and Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2 is an excellent continuation of the overall narrative. With new and arguably more dangerous threats like Kraven the Hunter or Venom to contend with, a massively expanded city to explore, and 2 Spider-Men to play as, the game offers an extensive gameplay experience for hours of fun. Collectibles follow the previous game's method of being both narratively engaging as well as fun to collect, and there's enough new content here that I was having a blast just playing. I do wish Miles got a bit more to do in the story, but this was easily one of my favorite games of 2023 with some fun and actively engaging trophies to earn, and once again makes a Spider-Man game worthy of a Platinum tier ranking on my list. An introspective title of an old man journeying. Old Man's Journey never really explains how this random sailor who left his family for the sea can suddenly move the earth around him, and I don't really care to know. This is a puzzle game where you have to find a path forward by reshaping the world around you, occasionally stopping to sit on a bench and reflect on the old man's life. And instead of the trophies just being handed to you each time you find a new memory or whatever, they actually have you engage with the world around you in cute and oftentimes unproductive ways, but aren't all that hard to do, so it's relatively fine. In general, it's a cute little game that I recommend for anyone who likes feeling emotions and is worthy of a Platinum tier ranking on my list. Of all the Ratchet & Clank games, Into the Nexus was one of the few I never played before I decided to earn the Platinum for it, and I'm genuinely sad that it took me this long to play it. A much smaller adventure than previous titles, this game has a great story, it brings back characters I never thought I'd see again, and has some truly quality animation for its cutscenes. As far as trophies go, it's your standard Ratchet & Clank affair, what with getting all of the things, leveling up your guns, and getting enough bolts to build your own small army of Clanks by the end. My main wish was that this title was a bit longer, and that there was maybe one more planet to traverse to maybe help the story flow a bit better, but overall I would say it's still a fantastically fun, Platinum tier worthy game. Another one of those take an average everyday thing you all have to do at some point and make it a games. Unpacking is all about moving from place to place and just unpacking and decorating. You could argue that there's an underlying story of a young woman growing up and we get to see the ups and downs of her life through her many boxes, but otherwise it's just unpack everything and decorate the rooms to your heart's delight. Thankfully, the trophies aren't just awarded for completing each level, and instead there's several that involve you putting objects in specific areas, sorting through them in specific ways, or even just flushing the toilet a whole bunch. In general, it's just a relaxing little experience that even includes a bit of Hebrew representation, which I thought was really nice. And it's simple but fun to complete, making it worthy of our final Platinum tier ranked game on this list. And so there you have it. Another year, another bundle of platinums that I get to call my own. As usual, I hope this video maybe helped you find a few titles you weren't as familiar with, or that you might want to try for yourself. And let me know down in the comments below what platinums you earned in 2023. Either way, thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see all of you in the next video. Take care.